when it comes to the Chag of Shavuot, we have to ask ourselves, what can we bite our teeth into? We have the matzah on Pesach, we have the sukkah on Sukkot, on Purim we have the Mishloach Manos, Matanos Lavyonim, Chanukah, the lighting of the Chanukah candles. Shavuos seems to be unique in that we don't really have any of the mitzvos of the day. You're right, there's a Minhag Yisrael to learn all night, there's a Minhag Yisrael to eat cheesecake, but what is the mitzvah hayom? How do we access this day? The second question we need to understand is what exactly are we celebrating on Shavuos? So if one should say, well, we say in our davening, Zman Matan Toratenu, the time we got the Torah, the obvious question is, well, the luchos that we got, the Torah that we got at that time, was broken. It was only the second luchos on Yom Kippur that remained forever. So what exactly are we celebrating? Are we celebrating a relationship that was then broken? That seems to make absolutely no sense. What is Shavuos really all about? So I think we can suggest an acronym to focus in on Shavuos, and that acronym is CPR. The CPR of Shavuos, to keep us alive, to keep us vibrant, are three components. The C will be conversion, the P will be prayer, tefillah, and the R will be relationship. Let's explain all three. The Sefer Todah brings a beautiful idea of why do we read Sefer Rut on Shavuos. There are many reasons that are given. And he offers the following where he says, is that we do a lichvodah shel Rut, for the honor of Rut. And we say to Rut, not only are you a convert, are you a giore, but kulanu gerim hayu. We all converted. We all went through gerus, Amamad Har Sinai, the receiving of the Torah, to make her almost feel included, that she isn't excluded, that only she is a ger, a gioret, a convert. All of us converted. In what way do we convert? So it's a beautiful idea that Rav Soloveitchik Zatzal brings on the section of Parakuf Daled, the 24th chapter in Shemot. If we take a look at the chronological order of the Chumash, we'll note that in Parakuf we have, or Parakutet is the introduction to Ma'amad Har Sinai, and then Parakuf we have the actual Aseret HaDibro, the actual commandments, and then only in Parakuf Dalet, after we've gone through Parakuf Aleph, Kaf Bet, and Kaf Gimel, which are various mishpatim, then do we have what we, so to speak, call the process of the Giur. We have the bringing of the korbanos, we have the sprinkling of the blood. That only happens in Parakuf Dalet, which was like the grand ceremony in inducting us into our relationship with Hashem. And the obvious question which the Rav brings is the question Mefarshim ask, what place does this parak have? Should it not belong, the sprinkling of the blood and the reading of the Sefer HaBrit, should not that belong in Parak Yotet, in the introduction before Ma'amad Har Sinai? And indeed, Rashi notes, Ein mukdam u'mu'uchar b'Torah. There is no order in the Torah, and Taka Parak Dalet should be found earlier. Other Mefarshim argue no, that the Torah is in order, that we got the Aseret HaDibro, we got Mishpatim, and then we had the ceremony of the sprinkling of the blood. To which the obvious question becomes on this Shita, asks the Rav, well, how could we have gotten the Torah before the conversion process happened? If we say the Zrika Saddam, the sprinkling of the blood, was the grand finale after the Klal Yisrael did Tefillah, they immersed themselves, this was like the finale of the conversion process. So how could we have gotten the Torah before we've gotten through that process? To which the Rav answers the following, and this is very fundamental. He says, the moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down on Har Sinai, the moment that we had the fire, the thunder, the kol gadol v'lo yosaf, that great strong voice, the kol shofar, it wasn't just that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us over information of the Aseret HaDibro. The Ma'amad Har Sinai, the whole experience of Har Sinai, was a transformative experience. The moment HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down, it was as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu tapped each and every one of us on the shoulder. It was that moment that we really went through conversion. It was at that moment that we became different people. It was at that moment that we became the level of Mitzuvim Va'osim. Technically, we didn't go through the ceremony till the next day, you're right. That's on a technical level. But philosophically, when was the moment that we entered into the covenant? It wasn't the next day when Moshe Rabbeinu offered the sacrifices and sprinkled the blood. The moment that we entered into the covenant, the moment of conversion, the sea, really happened at the moment of Ma'amad Har Sinai itself, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and revealed himself to each and every one of us. And indeed, the halachic Sfarim point out, why do we have 3 birkas HaTorah in the morning of La'asot b'divrei Torah, V'harevna, and Asher Bachar Banu? The bracha of Asher Bachar Banu that Hashem chose us is really a bracha of birkas HaShevach, of thanking Hashem, and we're thanking Him for Ma'amad Har Sinai, for the experience of the way Hashem gave us the Torah. Because that experience wasn't just, lahavdil, a sound and light show. That experience was a transformative experience that made us who we were, that made us into this nation. And therefore, my friends, if we ask ourselves, well, what did we get on Shavuos? The Brit, the covenant was broken. The luchos were smashed by the Chet HaEgel. The answer is, we never lost this covenant. We never lost this conversion. We never lost this closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As Rav Yisrael Solomon Shlita points out in Matnat Chaim, what we got at Ma'amad Har Sinai was the status of mitzuvim va'osim. That beforehand, the Avos HaKadoshim, of course they kept the Torah, but they kept it as one who was she'ena mitzuva v'osa, one who was not commanded to do. At the moment of Ma'amad Har Sinai, at the moment that we were elevated to this level of closeness to Ribono Shel Olam, at that moment we became mitzuva v'osa. We became commanded to do. So albeit the specifics may have been broken, but that type of covenant, that type of conversion, that remained forever. And Klal Yisrael got the tools, so to speak, to be able to fulfill Torah mitzvos. Asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. The sanctification in the mitzvos. The ability to be elevated to this level. That, my friends, is what we got at Ma'amad Har Sinai. And therefore, when we ask ourselves, well, what mitzvos do I have on Shavuos? Where's my matzah? Where's my sukkah? Where's my lulav and esrog? The answer is, of course we have mitzvos on Shavuos. The answer is, if I understand that Shavuos is about the time of relationship, if I understand that Shavuos is a time that we became mitzuva v'osa, it's a time that we became obligated, it's a time that we entered into this very intense personal relationship of transformation as a nation and as individuals, then what is the mitzvah hayom of Shavuos? The answer is obviously every single mitzvah that we do. It's not the matzah, it's not the sukkah, it's every single mitzvah reminds me that today I'm able to do these mitzvahs because of that experience. It begins with the Hadlakas HaNeiros, it begins with the Kiddush Asher Bachar Banu that we were chosen, and it goes all the way through the Havdalah of the distinction between us and the nations. This is what Shavuos is about. Every Alachat Yadayim, every Asher Yotza, every Shahakol, every bracha, every tefillah, every mitzvah. That is the way we celebrate the day. It's a day when I stop before doing each and every mitzvah, and I'm able to contemplate, wow, I've been chosen. I have a relationship. And indeed, Rav Uri Weisblum Shlita, the Mashgiach of Nachlas Levim in Haifa, points out, based on the Balei Musar, that you want to know how to be successful in one's avodas Hashem, he gives you a formula. Indeed, it may be hard to use this formula every day of our lives. It takes mindfulness. Shavuos, however, is the time to work on this formula and to prepare ourselves beforehand to be successful in this formula. And this is the formula. And he says, before doing any mitzvah, before saying any bracha, you need to have hachana. You need to have preparation. Klal Yisrael before Shavuos had preparation. They had the 49 days. They had the week before. They had the Yom HaMiyuchas. They had the Shloime Dachs. They had a lot of preparation. And when we prepare ourselves to do a mitzvah, we need to ask ourselves just 2 questions. And it takes but seconds. And the 2 questions are, my friends, Ma ani omed lasot, what am I about to do? And lifnei mi ani omed lasot, and in front of whom am I doing this? When I ask myself these 2 questions, what am I about to do? I'm about to say a shahakol. Wow, a shahakol. I shouldn't be slouching in my chair. I should sit up. It's midul fnei melech. I'm saying a bracha from Ribono Shel Olam. V'lifnei mi, in front of Hashem. Wow, I have to, be appropriate and articulate the bracha. And it works for Averos as well. What am I about to do? Speak Lashon Hara in front of Hashem. Well, I don't think that's really such a good idea. And then you desist from doing that. If we were on idea number 1 in the sea of covenant and conversion, if we were able to stop each and every time, as much as we possible, on Shavuos, before doing any mitzvah, before Nitchat Yadayim, before saying any bracha, to say, what am I about to do, and from whom am I about to do this? That level of mindfulness, he says, changes the regular tefillah out of rote, the regular brachos that we're zorek mipinu, that we just throw out of our mouths, into a spiritual experience. Then when I say the word atah, as the Yesh Kodesh points out, the Piyashnetzer Hashem Yikom Demo, I should feel that Hashem is standing right in front of me. I've Kivyachol brought Hashem down. Panim al panim, face to face. And that indeed is really the encapsulation of what Shavuos is about. Shavuos is about reliving the experience. The Chagim are not just a remembrance. They're reliving what we went through. We relive Ma'amad Har Sinai. We listen, if we're able to the Kriyas HaTorah. We should feel as if we're standing by Ma'amad Har Sinai right now. And part of Ma'amad Har Sinai was panim el panim, face to face. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed himself. It was a very personal relationship. And that indeed is how we should feel every single time we do mitzvos on Shavuos. It's a panim el panim relationship, a face to face. Baruch atah, you, nochach, Hashem Kivyachol is right in front of us. That is what Shavuos is all about. It's reliving that covenant, that conversion, that closeness, the C of the CPR. Let's move to the R, the relationship. So it's very interesting that the Sfarim point out that Shavuos is known in the Mishnaic sources as a Yom Hadin. Ba'atzeret nidonim al peiros ha'ilan. On Atzeret, which is the name of Shavuos, it's the final day of Pesach, we are judged for the fruit of the tree. And the Shloime Dachs, based on the Tolas Yaakov, points out that this idea of being judged on the fruit of the tree is not just referring to the pomegranate tree that we're being judged for the year, but rather, Kadosh Baruch Hu Kivyachol in Kabbalistic terms, he's Ilana Derabba, he is the major tree. And the Peiros Ha'ilan, the fruit of the tree, are really each and every one of us, or each and every one of our neshamas. We are being judged on Shavuos. Shavuos is the Yom Hadin, a day of judgment, and we are being judged. What is our relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And he explains the following. He says that just like Rosh Hashanah in Tishrei is a Yom Hadin, is a day of judgment, and there we are judged for Banai Chayim Etzonai, my children, my livelihood, my parnasa, my life. And Shavuos we're also being judged. But we're not being judged so much for the physical aspects of my life as much as the spiritual aspects of my life. How many times during the course of the year for Rosh Hashanah will I be making money? And how many times will I be losing money? On Shavuos, the judgment is, how many times will I feel spiritual in my avodas Hashem? How many times will I listen to a shir and feel inspired to make the changes? How many times will I daven and feel really connected? This is the judgment of what my relationship to the Ribono Shel Olam is going to look like in the coming year. And as Rabbi Baruch Mimeshmet, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu, points out, Really, the judgment of Shavuos is far more severe than the judgment of Rosh Hashanah. Because as he says, if I have a little bit more rolls or a little bit less rolls, I can manage. But if I have a little bit more mitzvos or a little bit less mitzvos, that's dramatic. That's nitzchios. That affects me forever. On Shavuos, the Yom Hadin is, how much am I connected to the Ribono Shel Olam? How much do I really want this relationship? And hence, Shavuos is the only Chag that has as much preparation that it does. Elul is B'Drabanan. Elul is from the rabbis to have a month before to prepare for Rosh Hashanah. The weeks before Pesach is the neurosis from women. The only Chag that has preparation in the Chumash itself is Sheva Shabbatot Tmimos. 7 complete weeks you should count. 7 weeks to build ourselves up to Shavuos. And then, as we spoke about the week before, the Shloime Dachs. All of these are getting me ready that I can be a Kli Kibul. I can be open for this relationship. That I'm indeed ready to say to Hashem, Ki hem chayenu va'arach yameinu. This is my life. This is what I desire. There's nothing else that I want. I prepare myself with learning Pirkei Avos, that I have derech eretz kadma l'Torah. I've worked on my midos. I'm ready to be a Kli, to receive the abundance of Hashem's Shefa. And indeed, the Sichos B'Avodat Hashem, Rav Meisels points out that every Shavuos morning our neshama is asked, as the question was asked thousands of years ago, Mekablim atem et haTorah, are you ready to receive the Torah? And every Shavuos morning our neshamas need to answer, Nasa v'nishma, we're ready to accept. But we have to be ready to be able to say that. We have to be ready to have that aspect of Shavuos, as Mr. Shalom points out, of Shvuah, of swearing, of total commitment to the Ribono Shel Olam. And I can only do that with the proper preparation, with the proper mindset, so that when Shavuos comes, all I'm thinking about is Ashreinu Matov Chalkeinu, how fortunate is my portion, how beloved I feel that I have been chosen to be an Eved Hashem, to be a servant of Hashem, to dedicate my whole entire life to Ritzon HaBorei, to the will of Hashem. To the extent that a person is ready and is committed to spending their lives as this Eved Hashem, to that extent they're going to be written in the book of life, in the book of spirituality, in the book of opportunities to do mitzvos. Katvenu b'sefer zchuyos, write me in the book of opportunities I want to connect with you. That's Shavuos. That's the relationship. That's what I want so desperately. And hence, notes from Asisiel Salomon Shlita in the Sefer Matnat Chaim. Do you know the only mitzvah we really have on Shavuos is really one? And that is when the Gemara talks about how do we divide up Shavuos? How do we divide up Chagim in general? Do we dedicate ourselves Kulo LaHashem, completely to Hashem? Or Kulo Lachem, completely to ourselves? And the Gemara answers, half to ourselves, half to Hashem. And then the Gemara says something that is so incredible. But everyone agrees that Tzeres Ba'ina Nami Lachem, that on Shavuos you must have a meal. So the truth be told is, my friends, of the 3, Shlosh Regalim, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, the one that I would think should be the most spiritual, the one that I would question whether I should have a meal, would be Shavuos. It's a day of total spirituality. No, Rabbi Yisrael, no, but Dafka we have a meal. Why? Because we want to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that Torah is beloved to us. We're celebrating. The Suda, the Yontif meal on Shavuos, is a meal that expresses to our HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well as to ourselves that there's nothing more enjoyable than our lives than to do Ritzon Hashem. I'm enjoying the meal as an expression of the joy that I feel that I have been chosen to be in this relationship, and that I long for a continued relationship, and that all I want are opportunities to be able to continue this relationship. So we have the commitment, we have the conversion, we have that intensity of panim el panim, of face to face. Every single mitzvah, Baruch Atah, I bring Kivyachol Hashem in front of me. I have the relationship. I have Shavuos as a Yom Hadin, a day of judgment. It's a day where I focus in, and there's nothing more beloved to me than Ritzon Hashem. And it's a day that has to be, or days that have to be entirely focused on this goal. And it's a day about relationship. It's about celebrating this relationship. And finally, my friends, the P of the CPR is prayer, is tefillah. The koach of tefillah that we have on Shavuos is enormous koach. Rav Pinkus Zatzal brings down that there are a number of times in the course of the year that are special 8 ratzot, special times of favor, special times of closeness, that mamish the heavens open up to be able to take our tefillos, a direct line. One of those times, which is classic, is Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur, the final tefillah. Notes Rav Pinkus Zatzal that Musaf on Shavuos has the same status and power of Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur. Because as we've spoken about, if the day is about closeness, if the day is about covenant and conversion, and it's about relationship, then tefillah is, prayer is the reflection of this relationship. Tefillah is the upshot of this relationship. Specifically, Rav Biderman Shlita and Darchei points out that the Chazal note that how did Klal Yisrael prepare themselves in the Shlosha Yemei Hagbala and really for Rosh Chodesh Sivan? It was through tefillah. And throughout the generations, how did Klal Yisrael prepare themselves during this week? Was specifically in the tefillos that connect us to our desire to be Torah Jews. One tefillah in particular is Ahava Rabbah. Look at Ahava Rabbah. V'tein b'libeinu lahavinu lahaskil. Give us in our hearts the ability to learn and understand. Lishmor v'lasos l'kayim, to be able to keep and to guard. Ekol tamut arsecha b'ahava, with love. They say that we're certain yeshivas, after spending the entire night up, would say Ahava Rabbah for a few hours, 2 or 3 hours, because Ahava Rabbah is the essential aspect of what Shavuos is about. You're looking to bite into something on Shavuos, bite into Ahava Rabbah. Stop at each word. Hamerachem, rachem aleinu, have mercy on us, Hashem. This is what Ahava Rabbah is about. It's about that love. It's about that closeness. It's about saying the Birkos HaShachar slowly and with emphasis. La'asot b'divrei Torah. Hashem, enable us to be involved in Torah. V'harevna. One could stop at that phrase for hours. Let Torah be sweet. Let it be pleasant. Let it be a beautiful experience. And indeed the Sfarim say, when you say the bracha of V'harevna, the Birkos HaShachar in the morning, and we ask that it should be sweet for us, v'tzetza'enu, and our children, every day, and for sure in Shavuos, stop, and really every day, and go through your children's names and the mother's name. So if you have Yosef Chaim ben Rachel, Yehuda Aryeh ben Rachel, Esther Rochel, Esther Sarah bat Rachel, whatever it is, go through all your children's name, not saying it, but thinking it. And daven each day that your children should have a revos, should have sweetness to Torah. And finally, my friends, we know there's a Minhag Yisrael the Darchei brings to say the entire Sefer Tehillim on Shavuos. It's a day of David HaMelech. It's a day of Ne'im Zmiros Yisrael. It's a day of total connection and Shira to Hashem. And the way we express that prayer, the way we express that relationship, and the way we express that connection is the way David HaMelech was able to do so. I'm limited in what I can say to Hashem. I'm limited in how I can work on this relationship. But David HaMelech put those words in the prayers, in the Tehillim of Ne'im Zmiros Yisrael, of the Pirkei Tehillim. And if one doesn't feel that they can say all of Tehillim by themselves, so call up a few friends, Erev Yantif, and divide up Tehillim, and daven for each other, daven for Klal Yisrael. So my friends, what we've tried to see is, what is Shavuos about? Indeed, the covenant didn't last. There was Shivrei Luchos. What can we bite our teeth into? And the answer is very clear. On the first level, it's about the conversion, it's about the connection, it's about the closeness. The covenant itself, the Luchos, may have been broken, but the idea that we have reached that level of Mitzuvim V'Osim, that Hashem has transformed us at the experience of Ma'amad Har Sinai, remains forever. And hence we have a command to remember Ma'amad Har Sinai at all times. Shavuos is about Baruch Atah, bringing Hashem down at every moment. What am I about to do, and from whom am I about to do it? On the second level, Shavuos is about relationship. What is Shavuos about? The Luchos didn't last. You're right, the Luchos didn't last. But the relationship with Hashem is an everlasting relationship. And part of this relationship is a Yom Hadin, is a day of judgment. And that is inherent in the day. And therefore, my friends, since it's a day of judgment, I have to work on my mindset that Torah is beloved to me, and the Suda is something that I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to make sure to have Divrei Torah. I'm going to make sure to be an elevated Suda. And finally, the prayer of the CPR, that it's a day of focusing on Ava Rabbah. It's a day of focusing on Birkas HaTorah. It's a day of davening Tehillim. And Yehi Ratzon, my friends, that in the schus of us feeling this close relationship with Hashem, of building the relationship with Hashem, of our davening, of our prayers being to be able to bring Ruchnius into our lives, Kadosh Baruch Hu should answer all of our tefillos l'tova. Vayichan Sham Yisrael